2010 Radnor Township Shade Tree Commission meeting. We have 3 items on the agenda tonight. The first being 747 Robin Hood Road. Is there a representative here to discuss that?
Good evening. I'm Matthew Daly up here on behalf of 747 Robin.
Okay, sir. If you could describe what your proposed development would be.
The plan is calling for raising the existing dwelling and constructing a new single-family home in place of the existing home. The plan calls for the removal of 13 trees and shows compensatory planting of 16 trees. There's a planting schedule is on the upper left corner as I look at the plan, but the plan outlines the installation of silt fence and tree protection fence where the engineer felt warranted in order to accomplish this and protect the existing trees.
Okay, you have to pardon us. It's the first time we've seen this. 28-inch. All right. Yep. 40-inch ash, 20 feet. Yep. Tree protection.
Silt is, this is silt,
Right.
orange.
That's tree protection.
That's about 20 feet from the 24-inch.
Is this a new driveway cut, Howard, or is this existing, the driveway?
It's new.
It's new?
Yeah, there's a driveway cutout there on Yorkshire that was never utilized. When they originally built, they had cutouts on both Yorkshire and Robin Hood. The existing house is built on Robin Hood, but it sits into a hole, so we're placing the new house actually on Yorkshire, and it'll be more at grade with the street instead of sitting down in a hole. So we're going to reorient it.
And the, it's surrounded on 2 sides by roads, and then the third side is other properties, or another property, is that correct?
Yeah, there's a third property there, but there were no trees.
So there are no, so
Yeah,
any tree that
within 10
would be
feet he would
there
have picked
is
up.
shown?
Yeah.
Okay, and there are no trees, okay.
Okay, upon first review, there are some concerns. It's got a 41 or 40-inch ash. Yep. And you're showing a 1-inch equals 20 feet scale. So you're playing very close up against that ash tree with your grade change.
We're not really calling for a change of grade in there.
Well, it says new contour line.
Where are you? And this is a great change right here, filling up against the house, because this end of the house will tend to be out of the ground. The lot's sloping, this is the high side falling down. But this is the silk fence, that's not a great change.
Right, but your grade change
So
is
this
still,
just he's showing some fill up against the house,
okay.
but the grades all in here are remaining the same.
And does, it looks like one of the grade changes goes right through the silt
Right.
and tree protection fence. So if,
Right here,
so it's, if the ash is at the top of the map, it's to the left, it shows it to the left.
Yeah, you have another 12-inch ash in the same vicinity, right, yeah, right
I
there.
see the silt fence, I see the tree protection fence, and it's calling for creation of a minor swale here at the edge of the new driveway. Is this what you're referring to?
I would think so. It shows anyway that there is a change of grade that goes right through,
Yeah, there's a little berm being created there, I guess, to stop the runoff.
right. And tree protection and silt fences should be put up before any of the ground is broken. And so you physically can't do what you have drawn there because you would be going right through the fence. Both the tree protection and the, you know, those are not to be moved once they've been put up. So,
Yeah, I think also the fence line just to run parallel with that, just creating a little landscape berm there.
and it would be better for that large ash to not cut into where the tree protection fence is. So would it be possible then to stop that berm that's being made at where the fence line is?
Yeah,
Okay.
you can alter that pretty much.
And is there any way of, and then between the house and that 40-inch ash tree, is there any way of bringing the silt and the tree protection fence further away from the tree? Because it's
Well,
what,
right now,
about 25 feet?
Right now, we're only leaving ourselves about, looks like about 10 feet to work. I don't think it's realistic.
Is it possible to move the house more towards the southeast? So to the lower right?
Well, we're trying to minimize the impervious. If we create a little more impervious, and would push us back towards this hill.
Any way of turning the house clockwise a little bit, so it would be getting away from that?
I think that's the more realistic. you know.
Okay.
I think that's to create another 5 feet or so. Because the road's really running on an angle that it's not really parallel to the road because the road's not a straight line.
Instead of,
Right. Yeah, actually, it might make it more parallel to the road.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think we could create like 5 more feet there or so.
10 would be even better, but if you could, so what, as much as you could do, that would then get that construction further away from that ash, which will help protect that ash.
How about if we just say 7 right now?
7.5.
We'll spend the house 7.
Okay,
We'll create some more space off that front side.
okay. And then move the fences and 7 feet also towards the
Right.
house, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Doesn't seem like too much to ask for.
I'd still keep the interruption between your contour line and the silt fence and tree protection.
We'll keep the contour behind the fence, right? Yeah.
Okay.
It almost appears like he threw the one and then added the other.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's no, we're talking a foot or so you're talking.
You've got a 22-inch sweet gum, which apparently you're keeping. It's right on the setback line in the,
Yeah, I think you should have showed the fence closer to the driveway, though, because he's not changing any grades. This fence, this is the tree you're referring to?
yep.
Yeah, I mean, as I look at it, I think this fence should probably come, out like that.
Okay.
It's not just the fence, it's your contour change.
It does show contour changes, yeah.
I see what you're saying.
If you spin your house clockwise, can you spin your,
It's really not going to have much effect on, we should probably consider actually removing that tree.
either that or reducing the amount of paving, one or the other?
Or to fine line, we wanted to, we'll start to fight the grades as we go further down Yorkshire.
All right,
And be adding more paving, and we'll be getting closer to the 12-inch ash. Right now, I mean, it appears we've sort of come in, between a little group of trees there as best we can.
Howard, unless there's a possibility of just getting rid of the circle driveway and sweeping that drive.
It's not really the circular part of the driveway that's covered. We have to come off of, we were coming off of Yorkshire where the curb cut is right now.
yeah, it's right here is what's causing the issue.
It's really,
Or if they could move that.
So if this section of the driveway were taken out, it still would have to be changed that much? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It appears to me that this grade is still going to be necessary,
Hmm.
even if they sweep it this way.
And are you adding soil there, or is that taking away? So to the left of the driveway by that sweet gum, are you adding soil or are you cutting?
right in here, we're doing a slight cut. We're directing water into the drain at the bottom of the driveway.
Okay. And, no, I think he means there, doesn't he? Or the bottom of the current driveway, this is the current
that's
driveway.
The
right?
current
So-
driveway
right,
is
so-
actually on Robin Hood.
Right. So where you're directing it is where it says the proposed slot drain?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then where does the slot drain to?
Well, it eventually, let me see what I'm looking at, it's going to come
Okay.
across here and then it goes into.
Okay, so it does show where the cutting is for that, yes,
Yeah.
okay.
There's a 6-inch PVC pipe running towards the home and then about, looks like about 5 feet off the home down towards the lake.
Right, thank you. If I'd looked more closely, I would have found that.
I mean, it would help us if we didn't have to put the drain there, but Dan likes to catch as much of the water off the driveway before it hits the road as possible. So it's one or the other.
Well, I think the 22-inch sweet gum is in question.
Well, what I would suggest is we're willing to leave it up. We'll move the fence out and we'll give you a couple more trees in case we lose it down the line, because I don't mind adding trees to the property. But I see no reason to just take it down, because I've found that we're only going to be working on the one side of it.
I'd be willing to go with that. I think that, you know, and then where cuts are made, it'd be best to have an arborist there to make the cuts of the roots, and get them covered up then as soon as you can.
Okay.
And then then that'd be one replacement tree. It's a 22-inch, so that's one tree, is that? Or is it?
It's 2 trees.
It would be one tree, I guess, yeah.
According, if this is correct, it is, 22 would be
24,
one.
24, okay.
Yeah, so it is one, yeah. So you'll add one compensatory tree, even though that tree is not being taken out? Yeah.
And we'll move the fence out as close as we can.
Good, okay.
So what, replant?
So we're planting with the pink flowering dogwood, 4 of those, 2 white ash, 3 pin oak, 3 sugar maples, and then 4 eastern redbuds. So 8 of the 16 trees, half of the trees are large canopy, are trees that would become large canopy. So I think that extra one, we'd certainly want one that would get to be a large tree. So like a sugar maple, like a pin oak or white ash. Yeah.
We'll add either one.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yes.
The pin oak is on our recommendation list, Howard?
You'd rather have a pin oak?
No, I'm just asking Howard if.
I think it's on the list, but with all the problems we're currently having with the red and black oak family, which pin oak is related to, I would recommend you go over to the white oaks. They're not affected yet, but we're seeing a lot of problem with pin oaks.
Or willow oak, or, I mean.
Yeah, willow oak would be fine, but that's not as large a tree.
Right.
Although that can get pretty big, I think. Okay.
So it'd be willow oak, swamp white oak, or white oak. We'd suggest instead of doing pin oaks that you do willow oak, swamp white oak, or white oak.
Okay.
So, great.
Okay, so let's see what the second sheet suggesting.
Some details.
Okay, this is engineering detail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seepage bed.
All right.
We have our utilities marked, Howard, as existing, or these are all new proposed underground utilities?
I'm seeing existing. You've got existing water, right?
The existing water is in the back here, and we will normally tie into that. Existing sewer.
Telephone, water,
What's this here?
electric tel.
Are you going above ground with the electric?
PICO will actually let us know what they prefer once we apply for the new service. We like to go underground, but we don't know where it'll come in until they design it. So it might come in from Yorkshire, it may come in from Robin Hood. That'll happen a little further down the line where we'll design that.
Well, where that comes in could have, where that comes in could have an effect on your,
Well, we'll trench that. I mean, we won't even be really involved in that.
yeah, but we need to understand the impact that the trees are going to.
Sure will. Does Pico come to Shade Tree? I don't know if
No, Pico does not come to Shade Tree, but as part of your development, we should know where, what impact that's going to have on the trees that you're retaining.
I would recommend if it can be brought in underground from the utility pole where the existing electricity is, would be the most preferred rather than have it come in from a utility pole out on.
That's probably, they're probably going to pick that's probably where they would do it. I mean, they don't try to make it hard on themselves.
Right.
So, I mean, that's probably how they would do it. But they will, a Pico engineer will decide based on load and
Right,
anything else that might
balance,
be going
right,
on in the
mhm.
neighborhood.
Well, if it were to come in either where the new driveway is or where the old driveway is, any of the digging, any of the trenching, or whatever utility, then that would be all right. Is that?
Yeah, they're not allowed to put it under the existing, the new driveway, is that correct? They cannot?
No, they typically won't. If they cross it, they'll put it in a conduit and take a perpendicular line, but 9 out of 10 times, in this case, they're probably going to come right off that pole and follow it. I don't believe there's poles on the right side of Yorkshire there, so they're not going to go across the road and come in from Yorkshire. They're going to come in from Robin Hood.
Okay. And then did we determine about the sewer? Is there a new sewage line or is it?
I'm trying to see if that's okay, so we're going to tie into the old lateral. It's right here. Runs right through where the existing lateral runs right through where our new construction is onto Yorkshire is there.
Okay.
And we're going to reuse that to whatever extent the township permits. But we won't know that until we expose it and they camera it.
Could we do something that as long as the electric line goes where shown, that's fine, but if it goes in areas where there is tree protection fencing, then that is a problem. That we would not be giving approval for that.
Sure.
And with the sewer line, the same thing, it crosses where there is tree protection fencing. We're going to assume that it will not need to be dug that far, but if it does, then
It needs to be revisited.
we need to revisit it. So it sounds like you think there's a good chance you won't have to do either of those things. The electrical go where
We
shown.
won't really have control on the sewer as well. I mean, when we go to tie back in, the township will actually send a crew out and they camera it and determine that it's good to tie in. They discourage us from going into the street to renew it, but they like to verify that it's still good. If it's not, then we'll have to deal with it then, but we won't know that until down the line.
Just as a side note, we had a similar situation up on Parks Run at the house that you're building presently with the sewer lateral where we didn't really know what was going to happen. Do you never know what the outcome of that situation was?
It's not one that I'm building.
No. On Parks Run?
Yeah,
No.
I'm not building one on Parks right now.
Okay.
I've built a few on there, but we're not building one right now.
Okay.
So I can't say. The sewers on Parks Run aren't that old, are they?
No.
So I can't believe the lateral would be that old.
It was just a very similar situation.
Okay.
Maybe the
Well-
grades required them to, they wanted to have gravity out of the basement or something, and they wanted to lower it or something.
So
That won't be the case here.
I would say if any digging goes where, we're not approving any digging within where the tree protection fences are.
Right.
But
And-
that's always the case.
Right, and so if something happens, that you're forced to dig in that area, then what we've approved, the replacements at least are gonna have to be changed.
Right.
Yeah.
But I understand that
Yes.
That's the whole purpose of the tree protection and the silt fence is to
Right. So those are
set the no-dig boundary.
Yes, so those are to be put up as shown, never moved once construction starts. And if you're forced by PICO or forced by the township to do something to move those and to dig in those areas, then there needs to be a revisiting of the shade tree on that. So, and I understand that you can't do it, and we just haven't always said that directly, but yes, that's implicit, and so, good.
So we're changing it from 16 trees to 17.
Right.
Okay.
And we suggested that the sign from the white oak would be used instead of the
Right.
pinus. Yep, and that the additional tree be a tree that would become a large canopy tree.
Sue's not here to take minutes, so.
So we know you're not questioning that, we're just making sure the notes get all done.
Okay. Okay, the other issue is we're going to require an escrow of $500 for each of those 17 trees.
The ones we're replanting,
Yeah,
is that in addition to the trees we're protecting, or?
yeah, that's in addition to the trees that you're protecting.
Okay. Is that new under the ordinance, or?
That's in the existing ordinance, yeah. We're finding that a lot of developments are walking away. They put the trees in the ground and walk away, and then it's everybody else's problem after that. So we're going to enforce that element of, we've been hoping not to have to enforce it, but it's obvious that's becoming a necessary step.
And when is it released?
That's up to the engineering division
Okay,
at
so
this
it's
point.
to ensure that they're planted, or it's to ensure that they survive?
Ensure that they actually survive.
So obviously it's released sometime down the line.
Yeah,
It's in the ordinance, what can we say?
all right. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'm here for Orchard, yes.
Okay. Subdivision.
No, this will. Do I come up?
Yeah, if you would identify yourself.
I'm Tracy Poulos.
Okay.
I'm a realtor, and we have a listing at 418 Orchard Way, which has a lot line change.
Right?
I don't think it affects any trees. It's just a slight shift in the rear property line between the two adjacent homeowners, both of whom were unable to appear tonight.
Okay, my understanding, there's a couple setback issues between both properties, and you're moving the lot 1 foot this way
Yeah,
and that
the
way.
original estate house behind, I don't know if it's setback issues. I don't think the lot line's affecting any setbacks, is it?
Okay, maybe that's.
They were mostly doing it for convenience because of where existing tennis courts are and fencing and things like that. There was a fence for a pool on one side that encroached on the other, and the tennis court on one side encroached on the other.
Right.
We're kind of taking a line and shifting it, so we're taking a little from one side and adding it to the other, but it's essentially keeping both lots identical in size or as close as possible to it.
And there is no actual digging being done?
No, I mean, there might be a little digging for a fence post, to move the fence slightly to keep it within, and the fence is marked on the plans. At least it was on the last plan I looked at. That one was just delivered to you, so I haven't seen it.
Okay, there's,
It's really minimal.
yeah,
Since the property is transferring, the owner who lived behind said, we've had this issue in the back, and a little my yard's on theirs, a little theirs is on mine. Let's just fix it for once and for all. So that's pretty much what we're doing.
okay, it's not totally clear to us, I'm sorry.
Can I come up or?
Yeah, either that, or can you put this
I'll
on the
put that
table
here.
and show us where the,
Right, so it should be, so you can read it correctly.
yep, and we'll
That-
interpret from
yeah.
there.
Okay, the house is here. And this
Right.
back little corner, see this right here?
Okay,
This is where this house's yard
Right.
came a little close to his tennis court.
okay,
So for years, these people owned a corner of this is a sport court now. It used to be longer.
okay,
These people actually had part of his court on their yard from
Okay.
years ago when the properties were subdivided. So when he redid his tennis court, he made it a little shorter into just a sport court. But he would prefer that to be, this property line to be a normal setback from his court.
okay,
And this owner would like the lot moved in a little on this side. And in return, we're going to pick up this corner here to help make up the difference in acreage so that we keep this lot suitable for this zoning. This lot's so big, it doesn't really matter.
right,
But bottom line is, he's going to give us this, we're going to give him this.
okay,
And that's it. So there's no trees affected. There's a little bit of just a rearrangement of the back lot line, which was, see how it jogs right here?
right,
The current lot line, back when property was subdivided years ago, made a funny jog because there used to be a swimming pool here, which is long gone. So the property line was kind of funky when it was subdivided years ago. And we're actually making it tidier.
Less funky.
Yeah.
okay,
So,
that helps. Very good,
okay.
yep, thank you.
Do you get this back for
Yep.
your?
Thank you very much. Well, you announced your name when you came to the podium. That works. Thank you.
Thank you. You're done, or, oh,
There's no one else here to from this off.
That's all right. The technicians are waiting.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more lot line change at 78 Oakford Road and 86 Oakford Road. There is no representation here. Uh-uh.
So what are they doing on Oak?
That's what we're trying, you want to explain it? No, we're kidding.
I was peeking. Oh, they're just moving the line.
Yeah, very, 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 very small. Thanks, you too. Yeah, this is the tiny little thing up here. Okay.
Okay, so there's no digging again,
No.
and it's, okay.
Okay.
And we're allowed to approve it even if there's not representation?
Yep.
Is that- Okay.
Yep. For
That's
something
fine with me
that
then.
simple, that's fine. Okay. Any hazardous tree reports? To my knowledge, none. Okay. Okay, that concludes the August 2010 Radnor Township Shade Tree Commission meeting.